warm welcome to our eminent speaker, Mr. Vishal Narayanasamy, to this interactive business networking session. The festivities will provide a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with fellow alumni and explore the ways in which AABN continues to shape an exciting environment. As we move forward with strategic plans to ensure AABN's future, we will continue to invest in the vast potential inherent in collaboration among individuals of varying backgrounds, perspectives, and expertise. I thank you all for keeping a place for AABN in your lives and for your ongoing support. At AABN, we have fun and take home some pearls of knowledge from the fellow members. Who knows what else we can accomplish through this special network? That's what we hope you will find as you sit in the webinar and meet someone from another period in our history, another field of study, another part of the country, etc., and find the same sort of interesting perspectives and inspiration that keeps us coming back for more. The agriculture industry has radically transformed over the past 50 years. Advances in machinery have expanded the scale, speed, and productivity of farm equipment, leading to more efficient cultivation of more land. India is an agrarian economy, and majority of the individuals are engaged in this sector for the sustenance of better livelihood. It renders a significant contribution to the growth and development of the country's economy. It is directly and indirectly linked to the other sectors of the economy and has the major objective of promoting overall growth and development of the economy. Agriculture with this allied sector is the largest livelihood provider within the country. India is expected to achieve the ambitious goal of doubling farm income by 2022. The agriculture sector in India is expected to generate better momentum in the years ahead due to increased investments in agriculture infrastructure like irrigation facilities, warehousing, and storage. This is indeed a pivotal time to talk about hydroponics. Hydroponics is quickly taking root as a growing system used in both commercial food production and by backyard gardeners. It can allow you to start vegetables yearly and even grow plants year round. When talking about the future of agriculture, hydroponic farming is generating a lot of attention among farmers, entrepreneurs, and people interested in growing their own greens. Given the need for more sustainable agriculture, there has been a rise in eco-friendly startup companies around the world that are using hydroponic technology to produce crops on a large scale. Hydroponics is a sustainable alternative to conventional agriculture. It is breaking the paradigm of food production. We may see a new generation of modern farmers building green walls inside their houses or community centers to feed families with fresh produce grown all year round. Mr. Vishal Narayanasamy is the co-founder of Gourmet Garden. He will help us to demystify hydroponic systems for the backyard gardener. Vishal will welcome questions throughout the program as he discusses some of the do's and don'ts that he has learned about growing vegetables hydroponically. Mr. Vishal Narayanasamy is the co-founder at Gourmet Garden, which creates innovative solutions for premier marketers to acquire new customers with improved lifetime value. Gourmet Garden is home to the purest, freshest, and finest tasting veggies grown with great care and protected zero contamination environments. Contamination-free food is very difficult to come by. While organic farming has contained pesticide contamination, there are other sorts, including soil-borne disease, water contamination, and poor handling through supply chain, all of which make our food less safe and unsuitable for consumption. Further, the food today has limited nutrition and flavors owing to genetic treatment of seeds and inefficient farming practices. At Gourmet Garden, our promise is to provide the freshest zero contamination leafies and veggies that are full of flavor and nutrition, so you enjoy your healthy meal. Gourmet Garden delivers 100% contamination-free, pesticide-free, naturophonically grown vegetables, organic vegetables procured from certified partner farms with fresh fruits directly to the doorsteps of our customers. Through our proprietary naturoponic farming approach, we believe in growing the purest, freshest, and finest tasting vegetables using RO water, non-GMO seeds, and no soil to ensure maximum nutrition and good health. Vishal has a BS degree in aeronautics from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and MBA in aviation management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, US. He started his career as consultant in vector aviation and aerospace consultant before venturing into Gourmet Garden. I have always perceived that at the core of AABN network is the philosophy, connect today, change tomorrow. All our activities have been aimed at perceiving our personal challenges of communication to push professional frontiers. With such a strong network of professionals backed by wonderful families, I am confident we can make significant strides. I sincerely hope we cross more milestones in the coming days and continue to be blessed with a surge of remarkable webinars. Thank you and Over to you, Mr. Vishal.
Thank you, Mr. Gopi, and a special thanks to everyone from AABN for letting this happen. And it'll be my pleasure to take you through this whole hydroponic journey. And I would encourage anyone to like stop me anywhere in between to ask me any questions or any doubts that they have as we go through this. So I'd like to start with the basic question of what is hydroponics, right? So uh, the whole idea of hydroponics is to remove soil out of the equation of growing plants. Now, let's just take a closer look at this one particular crop. So this is actually a type of lettuce. Now, I'm just going to take this out and show you that uh, in this is basically a net pot, and these are the root structures that are grown here, and this entire thing has been grown without the use of soil. So what you see here is actually coco peat and leca balls. So if I have to separate all of that, you'll kind of see that this is just coco peat, and we have these clay pellets over here. This is just to provide support to the root structure. And basically inside these pipes, we have water inside that's mixed with nutrients. So this is a very basic technique of hydroponics. It's called nutrient film technique, where we have pipes connected to a main reservoir tank. And in this case, this is my main reservoir tank. And in this reservoir tank, we have more nutrient solution over here. So this nutrient solution gets pumped using this fertigation system over here. It gets pumped inside each one of these towers that you see that are growing the leafies. In this system, you're kind of constrained to grow only leafies because it's also lightweight, and these pipes can support the weight of these leafies. And the whole idea was to kind of save space by going vertical. Uh, the thing is, after I invested in this system and we started growing, it took me about 2-3 months to realize that the cost of growing was actually very expensive, and so I mean, the market wouldn't pay for me to grow enough. I mean, it's basically like how much lettuce can you sell, and at what rate can you sell the lettuce, right? So, and what if we want to grow things like this? What if, this is India, end of the day, I want to grow palak. The market for palak is any day greater than lettuce. But how much would people pay for palak? It didn't make any sense economically to be doing this. So then I thought, let me look at different methods and different systems of hydroponic farming. So I took a look at a different system called deep water culture, which is basically a huge pond. About like it's kind of a borrowed technique from aquaponics, where they use fish to fish waste and fish to grow plants, and we kind of changed that and adapted it to a lower cost system. So what I'm going to be showing here is basically our deep water culture system. So this system is basically constructed with locally available materials, which is very cheap. So I just used a hollow block. As you can see, it's just hollow block, and then we used a tarpaulin sheet to hold the nutrient solution, and then we used the foam sheet over here. This is just regular foam sheet, and we drilled holes into these foam sheets, and we put pots inside, and then the plants grew the same way it grows in an NFT. And the cost of doing this was significantly cheaper. And depending on the type of crop, I can space it out in different ways, depending on, how the weather is and stuff like that. So basically, in 1 acre of a DWC farm, we fit about, depending on the type of crop, on the maximum higher side, we can fit about 4.5 lakh plants in a DWC farm on the high side. On the low side, we can fit about 2.5 lakh plants. What that means is basically more spacing versus less spacing. So I leave like empty spots here. So if it was, say, if I was growing lettuce here, it would be more spaced out. And versus an NFT farm, which is basically this type of farm where you will have only about 70 to 90,000 plants per acre. Perfectly to in maybe around 1 crore to 1.5 crores per acre for an NFT farm of something of this sort versus a DWC farm, which you kind of have to construct yourself, which will cost only about 40 lakhs. So your cost is half of an NFT farm, but your productivity, your yield is about 4x more. So once, I did some trials and stuff like that. So this is basically an adapted version of a deep water culture system. We like to call it a shallow water culture system because it's super shallow compared to anything else. So it's only like, it's about half feet high. And once we did a lot of trials and stuff like that, I decided to go ahead and patent this method, not because I don't want anyone else to use it, but because that way we can control the farming partners and the supply for it. So this is how we kind of moved from NFT to DWC. So this is basically our only first and only NFT farm that we have ever constructed. After that, we had complete shift to agriculture. So the whole design principle is to make food more affordable, more clean, and that's about it, right? So I mean, we just have to kind of break down hydroponics for what it is. It's basically very high rich nutrient solution, and the roots being suspended in very high nutrient solution water, and then you have your basic substrate inside that holds the root system together, and just make sure that there's no soil. That's it. So once you take soil out of the equation, it's called hydroponics. Um, I mean, we don't spray any chemical pesticides here. We spray mainly a lot of organic pesticides. We use sticky traps. We use other methods of pest control. We have an insect mesh. We try to control through methods like that. And we we have like the only kind of temperature control that we use is basically a loom net, which is kind of blocking most of the heat on top, and as well as sprinkler systems and fans. I chose not to put a fan and cool pad because the cost of growing that also, I mean, cost of running that is going to be more expensive. To give you an idea, my electricity cost for a 5,000 square foot farm, this particular farm, at agri rate, the electricity cost is at about 32,000, 36,000 um, during the summer months for 2 months, right? So that's about like 15,000 odd per month. And we do have a 6-ton chiller unit that actually chills the nutrient solution that runs inside this pipe. So we bring it down to about 18 to 12 degrees. Try to bring it down lower, but then the heat is quite high here in Chennai to be able to do anything else. So another basic flaw that we noticed with the system is that how it was kind of designed, right? So the A-frames, just to look at it from this angle, if you look at these two and then kind of bring it down to the lower level, you're not really saving space because it's just like you can literally make it like a flat bed. So after people realized that, then they started doing a lot of flat bed hydroponic systems where it doesn't really, I mean, end of the day, this is just supposed to give you the illusion that you're saving space in your vertical farm. But actually, it causes a lot of other issues when it comes to plant growth. So here I have a crop called Kale, which is from the Brassica family. So you can see the way that the stem has formed, it's taken like a weird S shape. And usually that's not the case. So all these plants, the stem has kind of formed a weird S shape instead of it going straight. So the main reason is because it as it grows, it's kind of like searching for sunlight, and with the multi-layer level, the sunlight gets blocked. So the plants grow in different shapes and forms, trying to fight for the sunlight. Versus if you look at this system, most of them are, I mean, for sure this is overcrowded, but most of the crop here is straight. So we kind of overcrowded the system. This is Thai basil, and the idea was to actually mass produce it here and then take cuttings from here so we can propagate it in other tanks. So these are the the main differences between both systems. It's just that one looks very fancy and it's pretty much like the white elephant in the middle of the room. It occupies 80% of my space, but gives me like probably 30% of the output versus you know this this particular method. So once we figure this method out, like I pretty much used any space I could get to kind of construct and put DWC systems wherever possible. So some of them are under maintenance and some are getting ready, while some have like tiny nurseries and other crops growing. So we're just like revamping this particular area of the farm. And so this is basically what hydroponics is, and my brief journey through navigating through this field, because I mean, I don't have a degree in agronomy, or I kind of got into this with pure interest in plants and farming and stuff. So uh, I mean, it was all self-taught, and this was a new science back in 2016. And there weren't many people I could really reach out to for inputs, and whoever was experimenting with this were very quiet about it. Did not want to, reveal anything at all to many people. So this is I mean, this is basically the pros and cons of different methods of of hydroponics. So this is like a very electricity heavy, type of farming, and um, you have to kind of choose your crops wisely. So when I first started farming, the idea was to kind of grow just basil, Italian basil or Thai basil, because the heat in Chennai kind of allowed for that to grow, flourish very well. But then it didn't take too long to realize that we're not in Tuscany or anywhere where the basil consumption is going to be like 3 tons or 4 tons a month. So then I kind of had to start experimenting a lot. So I started experimenting with about 300 different seeds from different species of leafies. From very exotic ones from Japan, like Mizuna, Mibuna, Tatsoi, Bok choys, and stuff like that, and also other stuff from Europe, about 8 to 10 different varieties of lettuce, and obviously the local varieties of red, green, amaranth, palak, and things like that. And it didn't take too long to realize that obviously the demand for palak outstripped everything else. To be honest, right now in Bangalore, we farm over 1 acre of just like palak for the local market in Bangalore using deep water culture. And at our price points, we're actually making it work. So um, coming, all this kind of ties up to your market connect, right? So there's no point. So when you're farming exotic or semi-exotic stuff, and of course mass market stuff like palak, there's a very niche kind of a segment that you end up targeting in the beginning to kind of build your whole brand and your brand ethos and stuff, right? So uh, initially when I started, I used to pack my produce everything here at this farm and go and drop it off at a few select supermarkets in in Chennai, about 2 3 supermarkets in Chennai where I knew that these products would sell, and it did very well over there. But I knew that I had to expand and I had to break out of the whole exotic boundary. Because if I had to scale, I can't scale with lettuce, I can't scale with kale, and I can't scale with basil or pak choy or any of these things. I can only scale with items like palak, green amaranth, red amaranth, and all the local varieties of leafies. So that's that's when I decided to, uh, basically move closer to better climate and move closer to where I thought there would be more of a cosmopolitan market that I could serve. So I started looking out for partners and investors and stuff like that. And once all of that got done, we made the move to Bangalore, where the weather was great, and I was able to get the yields I needed, and also the market was very nearby. So just to give you an idea, like in spite of spending all this money and all this OpEx, right? Basically electricity, nutrients, labor, and all of these things, this particular lettuce here would give me about just 30 to 40 grams. But the same seed, using the same nutrients, using the same technique, or if I go to DWC, just growing in a better location such as Bangalore or Uti just gives me double or triple the yield. So if I was in Bangalore at this time of the year, instead of 30, 40 grams a head, I'll be getting 90 grams. And if it was December, I'll be getting 120 to 150 grams per head of lettuce without doing any major significant change in effort or OPEX or without it costing anything more. So the other option I had to look at was obviously Uti or Kodaikanal or Yerkod or any kind of hill station, right? But the problem with that is logistics cost. Logistics would never make sense for me to supply the market. So we have a partner farmer, we have two, three partner farmers in Uti who get like really amazing lettuce yield, but we're trying to convince them to grow something else because the economics doesn't make sense of bringing that lettuce either to Chennai or to Bangalore. So the I mean, we went from a very electricity heavy consumption model of farming, which is NFT, to something that barely uses any electricity. In fact, the only electricity that we use in this system is a simple air pump that they use for like fish tanks to bubble the water to increase the amount of dissolved oxygen in the system. And we sometimes substitute it with uh, tiny amounts of hydrogen peroxide to just increase the dissolved oxygen in the water to help the plants grow better. So these are the main design principles that we used when it came to the method of farming and designing the type of system that we grew in. Now, the most important thing of any type of farming is market, right? Is to find out who your market is, where the market is, and how you can serve that market. Now, recently there's been a massive boom in direct to consumer kind of marketing where nearly everybody at home can just create a brand, start an e-commerce website, and start delivering their products to consumers. It can be anything as small as a cereal bar, biscuits, cookies, brownies, people baked at home, anything. There's a market for all these things online, and you just need to try to reach out to these customers. But what made it very challenging for us to do that is the fact that we're facing a very highly perishable product over here. This this particular leafy, if I harvest it and if it's not kept in the right temperature, is only going to be able to last about a 30 to 40-minute period without it start wilting. So we have to immediately pack it, keep it in a cold room, and transport it through entire like cold chain to the end consumer. Through a lot of trial and error, we tried different methods, ice packs, and all kinds of different methods to kind of reach the customer, and we failed terribly many times in the beginning, and we're still learning continuously as we go because the cold chain system hasn't like fully evolved over here, and the concept of cold chain for vegetables is not very common. So there's a lot of cold chain in terms of medication, like for pharma, for meat and other types of uh, I guess agricultural byproducts. But when it comes to actually cold chain for palak, nobody wants to do it because it's not worth it. So it's much easier to just waste it, or cheaper to dump all the bad produce and just take the good. But we couldn't afford to do that because our method of farming was quite high. So we put a lot of effort into shelf life and cold chain. So initially, when we started, it was trying to market direct to consumer. We had a website going, and we were getting, to be honest, um, we were getting about 6 to 10 orders a day in about 2000, uh, 2020. We were getting only about 6 to 10 orders a day before the first lockdown, and then we gradually grew to about 50 to 60 orders a day just before the first lockdown. And we had about 3 to 4 acres of DWC farms, which was producing like a lot of produce, and most of it we kind of had to just dump. And so the first lockdown created a massive boom for us. So we went from 60 orders a day, and I remember sitting down with my family and watching Modi's speech on March 23rd, and my phone just kept going crazy with the number of orders that came in. So as by the time Modi finished his speech, we were staring at about 400 orders, while we were used to only about 60 orders a day. And to make things worse, all our logistics partners had pulled out their capacity because of what had happened. Even though we were coming under essential services and stuff like that, we had to immediately overnight build our own internal team of logistics that can now supply all these farm produce to our customers that have placed orders online. So there was a massive shift from retail to direct to consumer suddenly for fresh produce. And what helped us is us being there even before the shift happened. So being one of the first D2C players when it came to produce, it really helped us kind of solidify our position during the first lockdown. Then after the first lockdown, we kind of had a great momentum. We picked up and we went, and then came the second lockdown a year after, and we were more prepared for it because we had built an internal team for delivery and stuff like that. So when it came to the whole D2C versus retail and our go-to-market strategies, right? So retail, honestly, we had very bad deals with retail, and the fact that we were growing exotics didn't really help us very much. So basically, some of the best deals we could get was either like 20% return model, where it's a 20 to 30% return model. So basically, everything unsold came back to us, which we can't even salvage. So at that rate, nothing made sense economics wise. So we were forced to kind of go the direct to consumer route and then spend more money on marketing online, trying to reach out to food influencers and basically dietitians, people who enjoyed working out. So we kind of started looking out for health conscious people and trying to promote our brand. We would send them free samples. We would tell them what's so different about this, what's so good about this, and why they should try this type of food, because it's actually kicked up quite a big storm everywhere else in the world except here. And now it's actually affordable also here in India. So we we basically went into different types of marketing strategies, where one was social media, influencer led kind of marketing, and the other was all basically um, Google and Instagram and Facebook, right? So these were the main methods that we kind of used for marketing our stuff. In fact, we still use mainly or only about these methods of marketing even till today. Uh, Most of them are performance marketing, and by performance marketing, I kind of performance marketing is basically where we kind of spend money for clicks and sites, and basically pay based on how many conversions we get on our website. So most of it was led by that. Now we're slowly drifting more towards the brand marketing and stuff like that. Uh, And so along with direct to consumer, there's a lot of other challenges in terms of um, uh, the customer service and customer support system, where we had to kind of, so each customer is different, and we have to treat all of them like on par with each other, and some of them feel like I don't know how to put it, but they 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 feel very connected to the brand when it's more direct to consumer. Each one has their preference, and many times when they place orders, they actually tend to give us special instructions like, don't leave it with the watchman, or leave it with the watchman, collect the money with the maid, so many different things like this. So we actually have to personalize each and every order, which was a problem when we were trying to scale, especially with third-party logistics providers and stuff. So then we started making a shift from third-party uh, to internal logistics, where we built our own team of autos and delivery boys and stuff like that. And now we're actually doing a bunch of EV vehicles uh, to start delivering to customers. Uh, so it so far, I mean, so far, we were trying initially to be able to manage with broken cold chain, and by broken cold chain, we had like a cold room in our distribution center, our fulfillment center, our collection centers, but then we were running vehicles without cold chain, and then afterwards we had to kind of shift to proper cold chain in like for our vehicles. So then we started investing on reefer vehicles for our Tata Aces, our Boleros, our 407s, and even for the last mile. So basically, the delivery agents, the last mile that actually come in the autos and on the bikes, we started putting ice packs in each crate, and just tried to make sure that everything reached customers before 9 to 10 a.m. Even though it's still a challenge today, trying to get that to happen. So these are the different challenges that we're facing, and we're trying to get through it, right? So coming to the whole shelf life concept, um, in any perishable product business, right? Shelf life can make or break the business, and that's something that we learned a very hard way. So we use different methods of, we just try every possible way to extend the shelf life of the product. Not only like temperature, but also by nitrogen flushing and different methods such as that. So we actually have an R&D team that specializes on things like, suppose for example, if you look at a banana stem, some people like just take a lemon and rub it around the banana stem, and that keeps it from browning, right? So we just look at different methods like this to see what can preserve it and to make it last longer naturally. Uh, Not only using other methods of, not just using expensive methods such as cold chain and stuff. So coming down to pretty much the last topic of hydroponic versus organic versus conventional. There's no way I think like hydroponics is the future of farming. It definitely cannot be, especially in especially given our our consumption style and what we eat as a country. I love rice. Everybody loves rice here. So as much as possible, if one day growing paddy is economical on hydroponics, I don't see it being the future. I just think that going forward, it's going to be a joint path of different types of farming that's going to actually take over. It's just that certain things work in certain locations and for certain markets. So um, I mean, right now it could be this, like there are companies out there growing seed potatoes using aeroponics, right? So in India as well. So it's just that not all tech is affordable and not all tech is good. It's just that we kind of have to pick and choose and see what the market will actually pay for. And, the market is like the best teacher anyone could have in terms of determining what kind of system and how to design and where your customers are and everything. So it's just that we tend to pay a lot of attention to uh, the price points people want, what products people want, and we are constantly evolving what we grow and how we grow. And as a company, we've kind of taken it upon us to grow as many things as possible hydroponically, affordable at an affordable cost price. So we are constantly, I mean, it's not only leafies that we grow, so we also grow tomatoes hydroponically. We grow uh, lady's finger, cucumbers, colored capsicums, and a bunch of other vegetables also hydroponically in most of our farms in Bangalore. We're currently experimenting with types of eggplants and lady's finger. And as we move forward, we'll be transferring more and more uh, we'll be transferring more and more crop from conventional and organic into our quote unquote hydroponic method of farming, just because the output and the taste